Thank you. Um, uh, the focus of my talk today, I was very impressed by what Transnet and Namibian ports have delivered. I will focus on what happened to the OA and how the OA faced the outbreak, and how ports manage their operations amidst COVID-19 outbreak. As you know, I have divided my presentation three parts. In the first part, I will outline explain how Port Reunion is did. In the second part, I will share with you something which is quite my own vision, a risk-based vision on the COVID-19 pandemic. And we will finish by how Port Reunion's, what kind of response Port Union has undertaken to mitigate COVID-19 ripple effects. So at first, thank you. As you know, Port Union, like this wonderful country of Namibia and South Africa, is also on its small part ranked at the UNESCO World Heritage. It's a small island off the coast of Madagascar, who's inhabited by 850 peoples. Official language is French. It's a French and European region, and the GDP growth before the outbreak was 1.7 per year, like roughly Europe, and the GDP per capita was 22,000 euro per person. Port Reunion is the gateway for an industrial port zone who average roughly 400 companies employing 4,800 peoples, who generates 2 billion euro turnover. It's quite huge. It's the first economic zone, in fact, of La Réunion. Our small port in the Indian Ocean has pooled with other Indian Ocean island ports through the Port Association of Indian Ocean Island, and we share insight with Seychelles Port Authority, Mauritius Port Authority, two ports in Madagascar, Tamatave and Porto Elohala, and the French port of Langoli, Mayotte, and the Comoros Port Authority. The three pillars of our action are the international cooperation. We are in close partnership with the Indian Ocean Commission. We are their maritime arm, in fact. We implement women empowerment in ports, and we have also a joint cruise development project who's now facing a very new challenge. The main trigger of a port, the core business of a port is its connectivity, and through 9 regular containerized liner service, we are at 4-day reach from South Africa, 2-day reach from Madagascar, 6-day reach from Indian subcontinent and Arabian Peninsula, and 9-day reach from Singapore, and 16-day reach from Europe. And this connectivity, which is key for each port, was really challenged through when the outbreak occurred. I finished the short presentation of Port Reunion, and I will now move into this risk-based vision of COVID pandemic. At first, I would like to remind you some terms because I will talk about all these subjects later in my presentation. As I would like to say, a risk is something that may place ports and terminal in jeopardy. Risks are rated in terms of likelihood, that means the probability that it will happen, and impact on the port where it to happen. Risk can be from different kind, social, climatic risk, or today outbreak. And something which is important to say is that an issue is a risk that has happened. That means the likelihood of this risk become a certainty. And we'll see later what will happen. This is, sorry, you know, I'm an engineer, so I like figures, charts to understand an equation. It's a way to make me confident, and I apologize for that. So you see an impact likelihood matrix, because in company, we map the risk into a single matrix, which is regarding their impact on the straight axis and likelihood on the x-axis. And the pandemic risk before COVID-19 was perceived as a major risk, but it was very unlikely. So we knew that in the past, it used to have pandemic which could occur on ports, but it was only a legend. And unfortunately, COVID-19 arrived, and COVID-19 make this very unlikely risk something which is now an issue. That means something which is a certainty today, or something which is very likely. And it has become a major issue because it has triggered a fear among dock worker people, all the people working in the country, a fear in the hinterland. And this fear could trigger a threat of the right to withdrawal, quarantine imposed on vessels. In La Réunion, we experience, and Mauritius and Madagascar, we experience quarantine in between our ports. We are at 1 or 2 day reach from each other, but we were imposed quarantine for vessels who are waiting at sea only because of this perception of this risk. And due to that, things came to standstill. So we had to react. And what was our reaction? It's a mitigation solution. And the mitigation, they jointly implemented in Mauritius, in Tamatave, in Seychelles, in La Réunion, was first social distancing according guidance issued by IAPH, for example. This social distancing was made to prevent ship crew, dock workers, and port staff from being affected and from feeling to be affected. And of course, what is important is another trigger of that is paperless procedure implementation. And what we did, especially in Port Réunion, regarding social distancing, to protect ship crews and all the port stakeholders, we implemented measures to streamline all of these social distancing tools between ship, vessel, dock workers, on all port service providers. It has been issued in the end of March, and since that time, roughly go back to normal, and business start to go back to normal. The second tool, which we are phasing in, is banning banning paperwork and paper-based procedures to rely on our port community system, which is called InfoPort, and who is a key tool to phase into a fully digitalized solution, which will operate the port a bit more remotely and protect all our staff and prevent our main fear to the threat of withdrawal. It was a short presentation. I wanted just to outline something that Port Réunion with Transport Haven will implement a Maritime Week next year in July, and we are all hosted to hope next year to share with a social as short as with a very short social distancing, I hope, and you will be able to see our marvelous island. Thank you.